Welcome back to the Disrupt Education Podcast. Allie, it's summertime. What's that mean?
Oh, well, it means it's full skydiving season.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. But it also means that people are in a transition period. And we actually came up with this episode months ago. And we're bringing back like one of my top favorite guests of all time. And because we had a lot of conversations this spring with some really innovative people. And and they're all unique and like pursuing their passions in different ways. But it came down to this idea of how do we turn it up during the summer? And like, how do you go full relentless, like nonstop mode? And that is where we're headed this summer. And so I'll kind of leave it there. A
Yeah.
little spice before we introduce our guest.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the infamous Robert Peppo. What's up, Robert? How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic and even better because I'm here with you too.
Oh man, and honestly, what Allie was and I were conversating about a few months back is, look, if you really want to be, and we were talking more on the education part, but we wanted to pick your brain a little bit more because you are crushing it across just a lot of different areas right now. But as an educator, if we want to disrupt education, if we want to actually change some things, you can't just do it in the 10 months that you have in the classroom. You've got to like step out and really be intentional in the summertime, and really start to reach out and do some different things, create some different things, test things. It is your playground. And look, man, I know teachers, Allie and I, we know that teachers work our butts off constantly in 10 months. It is tiring, but there's just something different about when it's your own and it's your playground, and you don't always have to walk into a school building. You can do some different things with that. So I'm gonna let you shoot the first question out here, Allie, because you said top one of the top. I think he's a top guest. I don't know. I'm gonna
I
make a lot of people mad.
really
Yeah, fine. No problem. I like the competition. I'll take it.
2023. I mean, that's a pretty like top spot for the podcast when in like my mind. You can only have one guest to kick off the year. You kicked off 2023. We're in the middle of 2024, right? If Let's just start off here. Like, so when we talked to you in like late 2022 is when we recorded, right? To like basically a year and a half later, what changes have kind of fill our listeners in with little background of who you are, but then also like the growth, maybe the mindset that you have transformed in the last year and a half, like exploded, right? So if we just want to like start there to kind of who are we even talking to? Who is this new Robert Peppo in 2024? Because you were still awesome in 2023, but like it's a whole new level now.
Well, you guys both gave me a lot to unpack, but I'll do my best. So, yeah, for those, obviously, a lot of new people probably don't know. I own Peppo's, right? Been on here before. We talked a little bit about that. Today will be a little bit about that, obviously, because my journey will kind of be talked about and how I've came into my position that I'm in. But I think everything all connects, and really the new me is from building that, right? So same thing a teacher would do in the summertime. You build into what you want to become or what you want to put out. That's what I've been really good at doing, right? So taking the seasons of life, or a chapter you could call it, and building off of it or using it. Which my downtime is wintertime. So the things that I can do within my company, Peppo Subs, I get to build in our downtime in the Midwest. It's not wonderful in the wintertime. People are less out, just typically in the restaurant space. Things dip down, and then we go full on for spring, summer. I use that time to do, I guess, what you guys would do in summer. So then when my busy time comes, I'm ready to execute. That's what I've been able to do, especially since 2020 is when I really started to turn it on for my next level, my next thing, my next step. And then each winter I get one step closer. And this past 2023 into 2024 winter is when I used that. It was like the final piece here we are. So time utilization, right? And using that downtime constructively. You know, you could use it in other ways. It's just not for me, not for the best level result either.
You just posted, I mean, it'll be a few weeks back from the time we're recording this, but like, you post every day. You're very consistent, not only just with your workout regimen, but with, you know, just you show building the, you know, the food truck, the different things that you're doing with your team there, and, you know, the expansion and things like that. One of the questions I wanted to ask, because you have learned, the post that I'm referring to was over the past 4 years, and it, dude, like it went like a story. So keep that up, because it really started to show, you know, where you began, and I can see the older pictures and everything, and yeah, you're a little more swole now. Okay, so, but that part as well as the business part, and you kind of
Yeah.
it was really cool how you put it together.
Thanks.
But you were learning things, right? And so how did you learn? Like, what was your, I don't know, they call it learning style, but how did you start to learn and be consistent over those 4 years? Because I think our educators who listen to this really kind of need to hear how, you know, hey, this isn't going to be bam, hey, everything's going to be perfect, especially when your customers are constantly changing. Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my premise is I'm a relentless learner, whatever it may be, whether it's from a mentor, a book, someone I follow on social media, or you, Peter, right? So I try to absorb everything and then either file it away, right, or do something with it. Now, the thing about learning, you know, maybe this is an education topic, that I wasn't a good learner early on, mainly because I thought I was just good at stuff, right? And I didn't have that piece put together yet. So what I had to do was not only learn things, but learn how to apply what I learned. That's the difference. I got caught in learning everything, not doing anything with it. Then I was like, I know all this. Why isn't it just happening? Right? There's a critical piece called action in there that I was a relentless learner for, 3 to 5 years when I realized what I had to do for myself. Then for the next 3 to 5, applied everything. I think there's a lot of people that are, high level thinkers, excellent scholastics, maybe. If you could just flip that switch into applying what you've learned, not just learning it, which is great in itself, right? Being well versed in things, worldly, whatever you want to call it. I chose to then think about, okay, I can quickly apply this and then I can discard it if it's not accurate to my life, my business. So you can learn all these things. Some of them won't apply to you. Some of them won't work for you in your business, in your career path, whatever it is, with your students. Then if you apply it quickly, you can discard it quickly or keep it quickly. Now you can start to, sift through all that you've learned, and now you're just left with the gold. I think that's kind of what I became good at, trying to speed up that process and really, there's unlimited information out there. What are you going to do with it all?
When I was thinking about, bringing you on for this episode and thinking about, our younger listeners, those either still in high school, college, starting a career, and even like educators who would then be like around these types of youth. I hear so many young people and people starting out their careers that like, what they can't do, or they don't have experience, or, so like it keeps them frozen and not moving. So maybe they are taking in information, but they don't feel like they can apply it or do anything with it. What would you say about like this idea of a relentless mindset to like move you forward? Because you have a very non-traditional path that I think many people can resonate with, and regardless of where you are in the educational like realm, like how can anybody apply that mindset and like run with it?
Yeah, so I think the foundation for this is probably that people who are educators, a primary goal is to make your students good, productive members of society and able to go out there and make something of themselves, right? It's a pretty solid foundation starting point. Let's just make these children and kids and students better. That's the goal. That's good. And with that, I think all of it is one, know your strengths and weaknesses. Number one, you're not going to be good at everything, and that's okay. Admitting that it was hard for me at first because I'm a confident person who doesn't want to admit any weaknesses. But actually now I know, well, if I admit my weaknesses and someone else is way better than me, this is actually way better. So that's kind of something I should have done earlier on when I tried to pretend like I was just cool or good at sports. I didn't care about school. No, I did care. I just wasn't good at it, and I didn't want anybody to know. So that's number one. Admitting that is fine. Then people will be like, oh, I can help you with that. Oh, I can do this. If you never admit it, who's going to help you? What could you even do? So that's kind of like a starting point. And then I think taking action to see what you're good at or not. Like about learning, right? If you just apply these things, then you'll know. I think you can build on some weaknesses, fine, but why not just go like 100% on your strengths? Go all in on your strengths. I knew what I was good at, and I sure as heck know today what I'm not good at, which is like construction and things like that. I can break walls and move stuff, fine, no problem. But technical skill, I don't have it. So I stay away from it, and I stay in my lane. But because I've done that and shifted away from like trying to get better everywhere, I just need to be so well-rounded. How about I just get like the best at this thing and see where that potential goes, which is what I did. And now we see the result of that. It's the same thing for a student or a teacher, like Peter in his business courses. He's relentless on how do I make community connections? How do I, think outside the box? How do I connect with students? Play to your strengths instead of being like, okay, I got to get in touch with every single one of them. You can't. It's like me trying to please every single customer every single day over 48 years. Pretty hard. But we're going to do our best overall because we're going to do really good at the things that we're really good at.
When you go into your winter months, your downtime, right? And teachers and educators, when this is out, it's right there, right? It's summertime. It's there's a lot of like, you need your vacation. And I've seen this guy on the beach several times, Nassau, wherever down there in the Bahamas, which he loves to go to the Bahamas. But then there comes a building / learning area for you in your business. What is that? What do those steps look like for you that maybe some of the educators, and by the way, I don't want to just say educators, I want to say students as well, really kind of get into this mode of, okay, it's summertime, but we all know, there's periods of rest and relaxation, but there's also major learning that happens in these kind of out of box times. What does that look like for you when you're on the plane back? Maybe it's when you're in the Bahamas, but I doubt it. But like when you start, how do you start organizing to just start and take some action and start learning new things quickly outside that box?
Yeah, everybody does want the rest and relaxation, right? A
Sure.
built-in break should be part of it. It should not be all of it. And this is why. Let's say 10 years ago, when I would take a vacation or wanted a break, it was good. Now though, when I had a little bit of sacrifice, kept discipline a little bit longer, and people can judge me all they want about you work too much, take a break, take it easy. The things I can do today are 10 times better than then. So that was worth it to me to make that sacrifice, and I still got to do things, but make that sacrifice early on where I utilize that downtime properly. And even still today, when we go on vacation, there's a day dedicated to uninterrupted work because you can then think freely. So I don't think about it as work. I think I'm on vacation and I get to think about some stuff uninterrupted, right? So on summertime, right? And when I can then, again, apply those things, my vacations have gotten way better, right? Now my staff is out there crushing it today. I'm here now and I can do this because we built into that. So I utilized that downtime when I couldn't do that or didn't have it built like that, and how to build into that. So you just utilize that downtime better and be like definitive in what you're doing and why you're doing it. Then it makes it easy. I want to enjoy my summertime too, for sure. Everybody does. But what other like end result, end state are you trying to get to? That's very likely much better because you've curated your own way and maximize your lane, whatever you're doing.
I feel like so right. I've definitely been like pro like relax, rest, take breaks, and like 100% for educators. And then I also think about some of my best thinking time and best like when I would move forward would be days that were uninterrupted. The weekends, definitely the summers. And there is this like whenever I would make drastic changes in my classroom, it would come from a lot of preparation and planning, usually on breaks and in the summer. And it would set me up for like a much longer period of time to run efficiently and like be like really, I could be in the work, but not like stressed by the work. And I, it's it's hard because it's like I don't want to tell teachers or students like don't take a break and whatnot, but if you have a goal or you want to make something happen, that planning and preparation, it like you plant the seed now and you let it grow and it can really bloom. So kind of when you think about kind of your background as an entrepreneur, like what seeds would you kind of encourage people to plant or pursue in order to have that kind of growth that like and maybe be like I don't know like how you are like don't take the break like you have to sacrifice like what would you kind of say to that? I mean
All of that. Okay. This is what I try and stress to our staff, to people coming in and people that I talk to and like the people that I mentor now, is that I promise you it's worth it to do that thing now. Make that sacrifice now, commit today, right? The adage is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now, okay? So if you do it today, I promise you, I wish I would have done it earlier on. If you do it today, you will thank yourself later. And that result, your life result, whatever it is to you, freedom, car, whatever it is, if you do it today, it will happen sooner or faster or better than you think because you will have done that work. So it sounds weird to say, but I thank my like former self for doing that because now I can see the results of that. And I thank myself for committing and for good or for bad, not taking a break sometimes because I knew my end state and what it was working for, because now my franchisees are in their training and I'm here with you guys. I have built that in. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done that thankfully I hopefully don't ever have to do again. And now I see it working like that. The payoff in the first one is happening, right? I am a living testament of that. This was not here before. I did that thing for like 3 years, every single day relentlessly. Now, when it should be the biggest time, the growth time, the hardest time, it's like, why is this working so good? How is this flowing so well? Well, because we planned for it and we utilize that downtime, and now we see the results of that, which can then go on essentially as far as we take it.
Yes, I've been in that office, Hallie. I know it's insane, the growth that's happening. You actually just posted this today, and I wanted to read it. I don't know if I can read it all, but it will go back to those excuses, right? I hope your excuses make you feel better because they sure as shit, I'll say it, why not, don't make you actually better. And I think this is something as a secondary educator that for some reason, I think at post-COVID, right, a lot of students, everybody's finding those excuses. Oh, school can't do this for me, or this place is blah, blah, blah. And you hear it a lot, especially now because it's at the end of the year, blah, 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 all this stuff. And it's transition time, and I can't wait to get out and everything like that. It's so hard to get students to see that. And I teach entrepreneurship. It's like, I'm going to, push you and keep pushing you because everything you're saying is blah, blah, blah. And once you get that thing down, or if you get very focused, I also heard this online today somewhere, no destination, no deal, right? I can't remember who said it, but it was like, if you don't have a destination in mind outside of just checking the box and graduating, then you're basically going to end up like, oh, school sucks. It's a maturity thing and everything like that. But let's say, summertime comes and you have this chance to refocus, right? What would you say to two people, a teacher, and what would you say to a teen in that moment?
Again, I kind of go back to just do it because the excuses. I was that guy. I had the excuses, and I thought it was just going to come to me, right? Then I realized, like, let me back up. People got to hear it more and more and more, right? Things on repeat in order to do it. My message would be to literally just boil it all down to exactly what we're trying to say every time and keep that message on repeat, which is everybody can come up with something that sounds great to make it make sense for themselves, except in the real world where we're all actually headed, it doesn't care. It is completely callous to your feelings, whatever. It's only about results and what you're able to do, prove, accomplish, track, measure. You can say anything you want to yourself, but if you don't utilize that time, you'll either get passed up, wait longer for things, wonder why, struggle, and not then get. So my perspective is big time thing. Get to the end of your life and be like, damn, I should have. I wish I. Oh no, no way. And it still applies to the career today. Even if you're not where you're at, and you know there's another step or something. Well, you can either make that process better or faster for yourself or whatever, or just coast along. It's never a good option. And I would always love to tell people, now that I'm older, my perspective is what it is, whether it's a student or a teacher, that thing now, doing it harder or not, or committing or not, is always going to reward you later on when you need it to, when you want it to, when that next opportunity comes. And it comes in the form of the next step in your career, comes in the form of college, comes as a form of a spouse or something. If you're not ready, right, so get yourself ready, but also start to attract those things. You can pursue them and attract them. That's something young people will struggle with because they're not there yet. But if they hear that on repeat, once you get into the real world and start dealing with real people making real decisions and compete against somebody for a job or application in college or whatever, you wish you would have.
Yep. Okay, so shift this conversation a little bit. So for those of you who don't know, you go back and give back your time to the community and to schools. So you're not only are you out in the real world, but you're grounded in your local community in Chicago area, like a lot. You and Peter know each other in the real world, okay? But
yeah.
So you also still have this connection with schools. And so, like, taking it to like another level, from your perspective, what do schools and the education system like need to like kick it into another gear? Because I feel like as a whole, that there are of course exceptions to this, they're like just complacent. They're not relentless. They're not trying to elevate. They're not trying to go to the next level. And like you can see that. So like, what would you say to be like, what do you need to do to wake up? You know, like what would Robert Peppo say to education system and to like the people in admin or on the school board, you know, because right, you're in the community, like you probably want to see the schools do better because it helps everybody out. So what would you say to that?
I'm gonna make it general because there's a lot.
Of course.
I would actually like to try to do soon enough. Although I feel capable and qualified to do it today, I have one more level of proving it to go. Sorry about the phone. That's just my version of why I went away. It's just one more level of proving why I'm saying what I'm gonna say. But there's plenty of ways to start. The right place is getting the right people in the right positions, right? So let's say you and Peter, for instance, putting you guys in a position to make those decisions, to allow those things to happen. So I don't know if we go from the top down or bottom up, right? Because you can go up the system, right? I'm going to move up and change things. or maybe it starts from the top and say, since I'm at the top, I'm gonna go down and let my teachers have this autonomy to really, do their thing their way. Now, me coming in as an outsider, I feel like I have a really unique flexibility where I do a ton in District 230 out here, and Providence and Shepherd, more than most people I see because I'm there all the time. This is what it is. I see no one's there as much as me, but whatever. But I'm not in the school, right? So I have this unique position that if I play this correctly, perhaps there is some change to be made. Perhaps it comes from the outside with someone who not only has proven it, but can also give back and assist with it, something like that. So, I'll shift it to you guys. And is it an easier from a top down or bottom up perspective? To me, I guess top down, because you can make that decision today and there's no waiting period. I would tell them to be more in tune with what's actually happening. Now, if things are changing faster, you also need to. It's the real world. That's what happens. Schools don't go in and out of business as much as businesses do, but we do. Why is that? Because we have to change and be nimble and adapt and evolve like today. The market doesn't care. If you don't adjust, you're done. That's it. Very simple. Not the same. So what are we producing for the real world? I guess, in our school systems. To me, it's not where it should be. No, at all. And the reason is that only a few people talk like Peter does, let's say. But when those students look to me, they hit me up like after District 230 event at Sandburg. They stay and they get yelled at for staying to talk to me. Why is that? Right? Do they stay after class long and talk to teachers? Maybe some do. Or do they then they hit me up on social media? Thank you so much. Can I talk with you again? Is there a way we can connect? Why is that? When you bring that different perspective in it and allow that freedom of thought, look, you got to be controlled. So there's some controls that should be built in there, but needs to be more understanding or some sort of more ear to the street and what's actually working, what actually, like, looking at actual high level entrepreneurs and high level results out there and mimicking them and bringing them into the classroom, whatever genre it is. Elon Musk with maybe engineering, mathematics, me, entrepreneurship, whatever other skill you want to do, and bringing that in the real world, like Peter's trying to do, like we've done, but at every level, in every class, in English, right? How do we get the best writer in? How do we get the best poet in? How do we connect with who's doing what out there? How do the students get to do that with them, even? I know I went off a tangent there, but
no, it sounds common sense. Sometimes that eludes us, but as educators, but it is interesting because I don't even know if Allie, like Robert and I have already, like, we've shot a couple like videos where we're working on like different ways to help reach out into the community and different things like that. So this was for the educators coming into summer then, right? Every single subject that we have can reach out into their community. You mentioned a few there, but I don't care if you want to be an engineer, a scientist, a writer, an artist, whatever. Like, you can reach out and make connections into the community to really start building those relationships. And Robert has been extremely key in our district and actually other districts, to helping people like myself, like, build these relationships, but then opportunities for students to actually see, hear, talk to, connect with real world. So, Robert, my question is then to you. All right, you're a teacher. Name whatever subject you want. Business is going to be easy, but anything else. And what are some steps that you think, as a business owner in a community, a chamber member, Chamber of Commerce member, somebody who's active, what would you like to see teachers kind of put together for you, into the community that they can work on in the summertime and have a lot of fun with? You just went mute.
Oh no.
It's all
Your
good.
mic must start working.
and I'm not sure if that because the
Yeah.
video stop, but yeah.
No. Okay. I don't know.
No, I'm good. Sorry.
Okay, cool. So, all right, I'll just re-ask the question, right?
Okay.
So, just basically saying that, you and I have worked together. You're very involved in the community. You're very involved in not just the school district I'm in, but a lot of different school. You're also very involved in community, chamber of commerce, talking to local politicians, and those types of areas in the world, right? And we're in a school, and you and I, we've been working on a lot of different things. We've been doing video, we've been doing just different ways to try to connect and then build opportunities, right? So we know, like, I know business for me is very easy, right? It's easy to connect with business, but you also have math, science, English, history, artists, musicians, whatever, right? And my question to you then is, as a member of a community who's eager and active and wanting to give back, and also wanting to, like, fill your pipeline, not only with customers, but with solid employees, what would you suggest a teacher do, or how to get out into the community in the summertime when they got some playground time, and what would be maybe some of the first steps that you would like to see as a business owner if a teacher would kind of walk into your world and say, hey, I need an opportunity? What does that look like for you on your side of things?
No, that's what it is. And I think the right people understand that opportunity and will jump at it for the points you've mentioned. You're connected to the school, which is good for multiple reasons, whether it's just business, whether it's staff members, whether it's just another connection. There's no downside to it. It's what we've talked about in our videos, on other stuff. I don't see any downside, but I don't know why people don't do it either. Perhaps they don't know if they can. Perhaps they're not confident in themselves. Perhaps the teacher's not. But I'll tell you this, most people want to do more and be involved. They just don't know how to do it. The only thing that's gotten me in more rooms than most people is that I'm just like, yo, see what happens. I'm not afraid of a no. I'm not afraid of rejection. There's 100 other good opportunities out there. It doesn't matter. So go for it. So if you want to improve your classroom or bring in something dynamic, just ask. Ask the superintendent. Ask the business owner. Ask. All you do is ask, and if there's a no, cool. You're in the same position. Come up with a better idea, or build a better idea. Perhaps you just didn't convey the message right. Most people that I associate with would totally be involved in things. I think teachers probably would like to do that because it breaks up the monotony of the day, perhaps. Gives them a little bit of excitement. It reinvigorates the students and also themselves, though, don't forget. That's a win-win across the board to me. So from a business perspective or a business owner perspective, I've gone to places and asked to do things. But also when someone comes in and asks me to do things, I entertain everything. Because what if it is a great idea? If nothing else, I'll try it once or twice and see what happens, see what comes from it. There's no downside there. Then you build into something. Like, Peter, me and you started working maybe 2 years ago now, and we're building into, I feel like we're just getting started on stuff. Mm-hmm. But it had to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. If I would have been like, I don't know what I'm going to tell the kids, and sure, I may be confident in being able to talk to most people and everything, but you can still go in there by yourself and you build into that. Because if you don't have it, how are you ever going to get it without doing it? And if you have it, go give it back, is my perspective. I think there's a win-win for everybody. If we weren't so stuck in that box thinking, can I do that? Should I do it? Just try it. What's the worst that can happen, right? There's no downside.
And that's why you embody this idea of being relentless, and you're willing to ask the question, get the no, but you're ready for the yes. And that's what I think. When I think about education, there's a lot of academics, there's a lot of thinkers, there's a lot of relentless learners, which you said at the beginning of the podcast. But then it's like you can get stuck in this information loop, and you're ready for a yes, but you aren't willing to ask for it. And I think that if you want to disrupt education or any field, you have to have more conversations, get out of your comfort zone, you have to literally go out and take action with it.
Do you know what? Can I add one thing right to that? Because I don't want to forget. You know what I think more people are waiting for other people to do that very thing when it could be on them, and that other person's also waiting for them to do it. Like in a department, let's say, if we just communicated, bring it up, most people be like, "Oh, that's a really good idea," or "I was thinking that." So, so more people are probably far more capable than they think they are, and other people. What I found out is other people were waiting for me to do stuff, and I was like, "Well, I was waiting for you to do that." They're like, "Well, I thought you would just be good at that." I was like, "Well, I am, but I thought you would." And that was like this thing. I'm like, you know what? I got this. Let me just go hard at everything, and we'll figure it out after. And then it works out good, and more people rise and be like, "Yeah, so glad you did that. Now I can do that." Yes, yeah. Be the one.
If one person listening to this podcast like internalizes that, because that's the other thing that you mentioned, that somebody can hear something but it like really does not sink in, and so this message where this might be the moment that it really internalizes and it switches that switch, right? It turns that dial on, and you never know like who you're putting into, and like that message, that it could really change someone's life, which is why I think you do the things that you do and you keep at it, because you just don't know who you're going to meet, who it's going to reach, and what could happen, right? You live in this, I feel like, this energy of like anything is possible and you're ready for it. But when I think not everyone's there, right? So is there anything that you've done, read, heard that kind of helped you evolve into that mindset that could maybe help someone else start getting there?
Yes, it's that I was far more capable than I thought early on, and yes, that comes with experience. But knowing that you can generally handle a lot, whether it be learning or working or trying something. We learn this in basic training. So me being a veteran, no one's ready for that when they get there, and then all of a sudden you graduate. You can handle it. Even me being older when I went in, the best at physical fitness, I still didn't know what I could do or how to handle it, and a lot of days were very hard. And then you get through it. Um, so one, you're far more capable. So if you can get that in your mind and even test that out in little ways, you'll figure it out quick. Number two, actually listen to the people who are telling it to you. Some of these things the kids may be like, "Oh, that's for them, they're like that." No, I wasn't. Now I may have been confident, fine, but I didn't actually have that confidence in myself. I portrayed that at first to make up for what I thought I lacked in. But when I got confident that I can try this, or confident in listening to somebody who tells you that, use that, because we're telling you it for a reason. So listening to your teacher, or me, if I come in and speak or whatever, the reason I'm saying that is because I want you to know how true that it is, that you're more capable than you think, and that if you just go for it, it's very likely it will work out, and you can handle more than you think. You could start earlier than you think. You don't need all the tools today. If you just start, you're good to go, but then also finish it. So, man, I have a lot of messages I'd like to put out like that, and but because it's true, it's for what happened to me. So when I look at the people doing things, I see that they can do it. All right, cool. I'll probably be able to figure something out too. Um, that's hard as a young person because it comes with experience as well. But all we can do is tell them and show them, right? That's why I'm on social like I am and do those things, because I didn't have it like that. I wasn't like that. But now that I am, I feel obligated to be like, no, it is possible. And I wish I would have started earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll put up your socials here on the podcast. Summertime is among us. There is this different energy, but I also want to, like, when you get time out of the box, but I also want to like put a little bit of emphasis on, look, Robert could call me at 2 a.m. and I would wake up out of a dead sleep and be motivated. Like being around people who really bring it, right? And I think that's one thing in summertime for people to really take a look at, right? Who is it? Who are your 5 people, right? Who is in your circle? Because honestly, and I'll just speak from a teacher's standpoint, when you have a community member like Robert who is just ready to take some risks, and really just open to trying things, it reinvigorate you as an educator. No matter what you're teaching, it could be in school, it could be skydiving, it could be anything. It just reinvigorates like you. So, any kind of like thing that we have missed here, Robert, as we kind of wrap up for, you know, kids and or teachers going into a summertime, aka your winter time, like maybe one thing to just start and just say, okay, this is the first thing that you need to do.
Get around the right people. You hit it, and I think that's a great way to finish this up, is if you're around the right people, right things start to happen. If you're around the wrong people, wrong things start to happen. Pretty simple concept. You are who you surround yourself with. If you want to be part of the good result club, get people that get good results, or guess what? Be the one that starts that for your group. That's a crucial piece too, because as we talked about earlier, maybe they're waiting on you. Maybe you're that key. And listen, everybody wants a good result. If you can do a little bit better in your career, whatever, everybody wants that. There's no downside to that, right? So why don't you just do that part and do that with anybody around you that you may need, your department, teachers doing the same thing and wanting the same result. Whether that's easier, a better career path, whatever the result is for you, who you are, who you surround yourself with is who you become. But also maybe you're the one that helps others become that too. So use your time wisely and surround yourself with the right people for sure. It's a good way to cap it off.
Perfect. Now, Allie, I got to go to you. Final thoughts on this crushing it for the summertime.
Crushing it. Yeah, that's what Peppo says a lot. Get out there and crush it. I would say, man, for this episode, I'm going to eat my words from, a previous season, but, I think this podcast evolves as the seasons change. So we're like coming out of COVID when people needed to probably relax, decompress, think about things. I want to say this summer is not about that. It's about going out there and crushing something and getting started and like pursuing it with a passion that you have yet to kind of engage with, because that's how you're going to disrupt your community and wherever you're at, in school, out of school and whatnot. And I think that message is really what we want to kick off the summer with. And if you are not connected with Robert Peppo, you need to be. He's on a lot of social media, but you'll be inspired on the daily. And I don't follow many people on social media anymore, but he's one of them.
Same.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up here. Robert, we're going to throw out all your socials and everything in the notes as well. But what is basically the number one place that people can connect with you, man?
If you type in Robert Peppo, Robert and then Peppo, it'll come up. You can't miss it. I'm not trying to be hiding. Hopefully it's all there. So either way, I'm just happy to be here and do this with you. Put the socials in or not, I just love having a good time with you guys. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us again today. I'm sure you'll be back, man. We got some things going on. Just if you're connected to Allie and I as well on LinkedIn, you're going to see some more and more stuff with Robert in here. We're just making some community education connections. You're right. We're just getting started. So, and headed into the summer. I know what's interesting is, and I'll leave everybody with this, and this is no disrespect to other podcasts, but I do know a lot of educators who do podcasts, great stuff, and they take a break in the summer. We don't, because we keep crushing it. So for that, thank you all for listening. For Allie Pribbett and our guest, Robert Peppo, I'm Peter Host. Trosser. We'll catch you next time on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Disrupt Education Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Are you ready to disrupt the educational arena you're a part of? For more ways to get involved in the work we do here at Disrupt Education, check us out at disrupteducation.co or find us on LinkedIn at Peter Hostrasser or Ali Privet.
Our mission here is to help facilitate and amplify changes in the educational system through local initiatives and help you scale them into community movements. Our building network of disruptors in education are working to move beyond scores and grades as the only measure for student learning. If your school district, college, campus, or organization is looking for facilitators of this work, reach out on our website or social media.
And if you have any thoughts or feedback on this week's episode or any episode, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, taking risks, and most importantly, disrupting education.